ISIS terrorists beheading a third American citizen. This time, it was 26-year-old Peter Kasich, who was an aid worker who disappeared from Syria more than a year ago while he was working to deliver medical supplies to the area. All of this, as Secretary of Defense Chuck Hagel says that the U.S. military is now speeding up its training of Iraqi troops. The Pentagon says the training has been going on for days, but is this going to be enough to destroy ISIS, as is the proclaimed goal of this administration? KT McFarland joins me now. She served as Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense under President Reagan. She's a Fox News national security analyst. KT, good morning to you. Good morning. The first thing that occurs to me when I look at this is, they have some special fairy dust that they're going to sprinkle to make what happened, which has been so difficult to happen over the last decade, to suddenly say, oh, by the way, let's speed it up. I mean, you have to feel for General Lloyd Austin, who's asking for more help to get these people ready.
It's not just help, but what kind of help? I mean, we've been there, done that. We've, as you said, we've taken a decade. We've spent $30 billion training and equipping the Iraqi army, and the Iraqi army at the first sight of ISIS. And they were greatly outnumbered, ISIS. They threw down their weapons, they took off their uniforms, they ran away. They didn't stand and fight. Now, who is fighting in the Middle East? Who's willing to fight ISIS? Those are the Kurds. Those are the only people we're not directly arming. We say we're going to arm them, but we don't. We give the weapons to the Iraqi military to say pass them off to the Kurds. The Iraqi military never passes anything on.
All right, so here you're stuck with a situation where you've got these Iraqi battalions that don't want to fight. As you say, you could put more force behind the Peshmerga, and that's part of what they want to do. Would that be enough if you just put your focus on the Kurds? And the argument here is that if America gives the kind of training that would be needed to get these Kurds in the position they need to be in, that then other countries will look at that and say, you know what, they're serious. Let's go help them out.
Right. I think the problem that we need to do is take a step back. And what are we trying to achieve here? What's our big strategic goal? They're about the Middle East, but particularly in Iraq and Syria, they're in a 30-year war. It's Shiites and Sunnis. Who are the Shiites? That's Iran. That's the Iraq government. That's the Assad government in Syria. Who are the other guys? The Sunnis? Well, the Sunnis are ISIS, and the Sunnis are the other groups that they've gotten to follow them. Who's caught in the middle? Who's squished in the middle? The moderates. Now, are there any moderates in the middle willing to fight? Sure, let's help them. But don't help them by trying to build an army and build bases and train them Pentagon style. Do guerrilla warfare. That's how they're fighting. So the mistakes we made in Vietnam, in Afghanistan as we tried to nation build, or even in Iraq as we tried to nation build, we're trying to build them a Western-style military, and it isn't working in that part of the world. Special forces, sure. Contractors, terrific. Arm the Kurds, but at the end of the day, if they won't stand up, the people in the region don't stand up and fight ISIS, ISIS will never be defeated.
Yeah, that's a great point. Let's listen to former Secretary of Defense Robert Gates on the president on this issue.
The President of the United States cannot make a threat, cannot draw a red line, and not carry it out. Don't cock that pistol unless you're ready to fire it. Because when the President of the United States makes a threat, the credibility of this entire country is on the line. And it sends a powerful message.
I've always felt, and he clearly feels, and I believe you do too, that we will look back on this moment in history as that being such a significant moment, because it sent such a powerful message to the rest of that part of the world that we weren't willing to follow through with our word.
Yeah, and it's not just our word for the Syria, the red line we drew there. It's the president who, in response to falling poll ratings before an election, saw Americans beheaded. So instead of having a thoughtful, deliberate policy, what did he do? He came out and said, we're going to defeat and destroy ISIS. Well, when you say that, that sends a signal to the military. Here's how to have a big ramp-up operation. President Obama, whether it was the red line in Syria, whether it was going to defeat and destroy ISIS, whether it's Al-Qaeda's on the run, every single time the president has sort of made a speech figuring that he's solved the problem, but in fact it looks like the United States has put down a marker and then retreated from it. And Secretary Gates is right. The continuous effect of this president saying, I'm going to do that, we're going to do this, and doesn't follow through.
Dilutes the entire effort. Yeah. But obviously, in order to defeat ISIS, you do need to be indomitable. You need to show such a strong amount of force and coalition that it becomes clear to those who might want to join, because Al-Qaeda, we know, has hooked up with them. In Egypt, there are forces that are also wanting to hook up with ISIS because they seem to be the winners right now.
Yeah, in the Middle East.
The guys you want to be with.
the guys you want to be with. And Osama bin Laden said it best. He said people will always choose the strong horse. People who want to be jihadists, they're looking around the region and they're saying ISIS is the one with the momentum, they're the ones with the money, they're the ones with the purpose, and those are the ones that they want to join. Now, if the United States wants to defeat them, there are a lot of ways we could defeat them other than trying to somehow have a big land force. Defeat them economically. Push down the price of oil. They're bankrupt. Then they have enough squabbling amongst themselves. They're not getting the big donations they've been getting from the Arab states. Another way would be to encourage the Kurds, encourage others in the region who are willing to fight them, give them the kind of training, but not big training American Pentagon style. Give them special forces, give them covert operations, teach them how to be good guerrillas.
Yeah, great points. KT, thank you very much. We'll see you next time.